Up, Notjust developers, welcome back to another live stream. Today I'm starting a brand new project that I'm going to develop from idea all the way until I launch it to the market. This is going to be a real project, a real mobile application that we are going to build together here on YouTube. So during the next 5 days, I'm going to go live every single day, and I'm going to go and implement this project that I have in mind. The application that we're going to build is a language learning application based on peer-to-peer video calls. I want to give a better experience to language learning because I myself have been studying Spanish for 3 years, and using Duolingo, I don't have much progress because what I lack is a lack of practice. And I want to solve this by building up an application where you can practice with native speakers by going on a call and talking about some subjects. That's what we're gonna build. I know it sounds like a huge project, but with the right tools, I believe that this is possible, and this is going to be my challenge for the next 5 days. And if you want to join me on this journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and let's get started and let's see why exactly I'm doing this. So, why I'm doing this? I'm doing this because part of Not Just Hack. This is our 1 month-long hackathon we designed for mobile developers that you can join as well. So from December 1st to December 31st, I invite our community to build and launch applications. All you have to do is build a mobile app, launch it to the market either on Play Store or on App Store, submit your entry by 31st December, and have a chance to win these amazing prizes, such as a MacBook Pro for the best project. For more details about the hackathon itself, if you want to participate, go to notjust.dev, and while you're there, make sure to sign up to receive all the important information. And if you're watching this video somewhere during December, there is still time. You can still participate, even if you didn't sign up before. So go ahead, sign up, get an idea from your notebook, because I'm pretty sure you have it, and let's build together and launch mobile applications. My personal plan during this hackathon is to build 4 applications in 4 weeks. Previous week, I already built and launched an application. It's already public on the market. Maybe I'm going to share with you a bit later. But this week, we are starting a brand new project from scratch, from zero. I just have an idea. We're going to have to build it in 5 streams, where I'm going to cover this in daily streams. And this is the second application out of 4. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going live every single day at the same time, and you can follow my journey to see if I'm actually going to manage to pull it off such a big project. As I was saying, building a project with video calling and chatting and audio calling would be insane to do it from scratch without using some pre-built tools. That's why I reached out for this project to our friends at Getstream. You can find them at getstream.io. I pitched them the idea, like, I want to build this project and I don't think I can do it without Stream in 5 days. And they were kind enough to sponsor this project. So if you want to sign up and use Stream, go follow the link in the description below. And using Stream, you can build really easily chat applications, video calling and audio calling, and add activity feeds way faster. So you're gonna see a bit later today how easy it is to add video calling and chatting to an application without having to reinvent the wheel. And you get an experience that users would usually expect from applications like WhatsApp and other chatting applications out there. So my goal today is, at least by the end of a video, is to have a video functionalities working. Then let's see how we are going to manage to do that. But I'm pretty sure with Stream that's going to be a breeze, because it really is very developer friendly and focused, and I loved working with them in the past. And I'm pretty sure this project is going to be a success because of Stream as well. So thank you very much, Stream, for sponsoring this video. And before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that previous week we launched React Native Mastery. This is the course that I've been working on for the last year, and this one has a goal of teaching you everything that goes into building full stack mobile applications. Not full stack, but mobile applications with React Native and Expo. So you can see here the tech stack that you're going to learn. And during this December, we have a promo code running that decreases in percentage once every single day. So today it's 13%. If you go, you're going to see the banner at the top. Okay, so I think it's time to go ahead and start working on the application. Here is the link if you're interested in React Native Mastery. But back to our hackathon, let me say hi to everyone who is joining us live today. How are you doing, guys? How is the progress for your applications? I'm going to put the chat here so I can see it. Question, is Stream free? No, Stream is not free, but we have, if you go to pricing at the moment of recording this video, for example, for chat messaging, you have a free package up to 100 monthly active users, and for video as well. And also they have this, how is it called? The maker account here, free for makers, which is a very powerful thing, and I'm pretty sure you will be the one who can benefit from it. So you get 100 monthly credit for makers for projects and companies that have less than 5 team members. Sorry, I was not sharing the screen. So if you go to pricing and scroll down, you'll find the free for makers. So you can go ahead, register now with a maker account, and you're gonna get the free credits until you get to 100K in monthly revenue, which I think is going to be at a point where you can easily pay for solutions like this. The benefit is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like building everything that you get out of a box for Stream would take you years, and I'm pretty sure it's not possible to achieve this complexity and feature reach alone, because you're gonna see today how many things you get right out of a box in terms of messaging with all the reactions, read states, with group chats, with video calls, audio calls. Yeah, it's insane. And it supports all kind of frameworks and languages. But let's go ahead and get started, because as I said, we're gonna have a lot of things to do today. Let me bring this one here, and I have here in Notion where I track my progress. This idea that I'm building now doesn't follow really my plan, because it's not a small application. It's quite a large application, and it also requires a critical mass of users. So, but I really think that there is a need for this kind of applications. At least there is a personal need. I need an application like this to practice more Spanish, because from 1,000 days using Duolingo, I basically know nothing. I know some words in Spanish. I can handle a very, very basic Spanish conversation, but I lack the practice. I lack talking with natives. And I was looking for an application like this myself. So I decided, let's go ahead and try to build it, see how it goes, see if there is interest, and with the tools and experiment and see how things will go. So let's go ahead and create a new page for our language learning. And similar to how we did here in invoice generation, I want to find the core feature, because the question is, what would be that feature without which a peer-to-peer language learning application would not work? I believe that would be the communication. And the idea is maybe not necessarily for chat communication, but maybe video. So it would be, let's go ahead and start with MVP. I want people to peer-to-peer video calls. I think that's actually the most important one. So here, the user with a random person to practice the language. The nice to have features here in the MVP, I would like, because the challenges that I'm thinking about this application are like the problems or the hesitations, like why, let's say, what would be the things, like what would break the application, like what are the things that can make it harder for the application to succeed. And the one that I'm thinking, like the main challenge is people feel shy to get on a call with a stranger. I think this is one of the biggest challenge for a video calling application like this. And to go around this, or to make it easier, I'm thinking about a feature of giving conversation starters. Maybe some word games, maybe a question that would start with conversation. Maybe a time limit on the calls, because you know that you're gonna have to practice only for 3 minutes, not like 30 minutes or so on. And maybe some way of like easily moving to the next one. I don't know. Hey Jamie saying Apple approved my developer account this morning, so setting that up still. Perfect. I'm happy for that. Hello Sidaram, hello Ripon. Maybe I need to copy your idea. Go ahead, try. You don't have to copy, you can take inspiration and add your own spin to it, add your own thing, and I think that's going to be good. Do it a bit differently. See how you can do it better than me, or in a different way. Bro, I didn't share the Notion and the code for previous projects. The code I'm not gonna share because this is not educational purpose in similar to how we usually do on this channel. But this Notion page, maybe I can share. I'm gonna prepare like a link to look for it, not to have like any private keys. Hello Jagdish. Me gusta tu idea. Gracias. Hello, Ripon. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna get started and slowly I'm gonna add things here. So let me go ahead and open, put this one maybe here. I'm gonna move the comments here, and this one as well. And let's go ahead and set up our project. I'm gonna open a terminal. No overthinking, straight to action. Let's do cd projects lab, cd hack. Do I have something like hack here? cd paths, I think this is a path, not just hack. And here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to initialize a new project, a new expo project, using npx create expo stack at latest. Let's call this, how should we call it? Any idea so far? Video calling, yeah. I'm gonna call it internally P2P, peer-to-peer language learning. Would like to use TypeScript? Yes. Yes, Expo router. I'm gonna go with a stack. It's okay. Native Wind. Should we install Zoost and I'm not sure if we're gonna need it actually. So maybe I'm going to add it later if I need it. For the authentication, most probably we're gonna use Supabase, but again, let's do none. So we're gonna set it up ourselves if we need it. No, no, and let's wait for the configuration for the initial project to be set up. How are you organizing your code in this React Native Expo project? Do you follow any particular structure or patterns? Yeah, there are like a lot of things that I follow. I'm not sure like if I can answer it like very shortly. But yeah, I'm following a structure for starting with some rules around how you use Expo Router, for example. In this case, all my screens go into the app directory and nothing else that is not a screen goes there. Then all the components go into a component folder. Then if I need a global state management for the more complex business logic, I do that separately as well. For styling, I'm using Native Wind. And now I'm going to open this application with Cursor, which is a fork of Visual Studio Code that has some AI features. And throughout this challenge, in order to be able to build these 4 applications in 4 weeks, which is not that much if you think about it, I have 5 days for every single application. And 5 days, I'm trying to do 4 hours every single day. That's 20 hours. So in 20 hours, I have to go from idea all the way to the market. I managed to do it like with the first one for the invoice generator application. And now the application is already on the market. Let me see if I can find that. But in order to do that, like you need to use tools that would accelerate your development, right? And this time I'm trying to use some AI tools as much as possible. And if you know something else that would help me, please let me know, because I'm still looking for things to introduce in my flow to do it even faster. So as I was saying, the first application that we've built previous week is the invoice generator. The application is out there on the market, and you can go ahead and we'll do View App Store. It allows you to generate invoices easily by filling in some data, allows you to store data about people you are working with and get like a PDF invoice. So if you are interested in helping me test it out or seeing how it looks, here it is. I added it in the chat. And from analytics, we already have our first users, 39 users in the application. Nice. All right. What I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and run this project. The newly created project, I'm going to run it with npm start. I see it's already on the market. Yes, it's on the market. Lawrence is saying, request for future application as part of a hack. Something with Google Maps. I'm struggling with this as part of my project. Something to do with Expo, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. Like if I need basically an application with Google Maps, if I find like an idea. Why is this? But what's the problem there? Is it working in Expo Go and not working in production? Let me open a device like this instead of the iPad. I don't think I need the iPad now. There is an application called Tandem where you can talk with so many native speakers like Spanish or any language. That's good to know. Tandem. Nice. Speak with Tandem. Master any language by actually chatting with real people. Nice. I want to practice. So it also has like a chat. I'm thinking, should I add chat there? Video calling is nice. Correcting. Translate. Yeah, maybe translation in the chat would work nice. Maybe the chat is going to be the one that is easier like to start before committing. Yeah, this part as well, like I was thinking, like you basically set like what language you are speaking and what language can you help with. So what language you know and what language you want to learn. And then you connect people. Probably initially I'm going to stick to some languages to make it easier to find like partners, maybe English and Spanish. I don't know. Spanish just because I want to learn Spanish. But that's a good thing to know. So I'm gonna put it here in my notes under competitors. This one. Bookmark. Is it available in Play Store? No, the application I'm building, I'm not going to deploy them to Play Store yet because it takes time. So I don't have this time. If they work, if there is traction, if I see potential, it's going to be quite easy for me to go ahead and deploy them to Play Store as well. So for now, it's only iOS. I decided to go that route to test them, to see some data, to see if people use them, and only then we're gonna figure them out deploy them on iOS, on Android, I mean. Sorry. So let's run the application on our simulator. Did I do the provider key? Yeah, I was also thinking about that, like in regards to the maps. I think only this time Vadim have worn a shirt. Oh, really? Usually I have a t-shirt. Look at me. I don't know. So here it is. Yeah, Lawrence, in Expo Go you get the API key from Google provided by Expo. If you go and publish it, you already need your own key, so you need to set up your own Google Maps key. Catalan, stop it. How do I debug production application, crash or any errors? The tool I'm personally using for debugging production errors, especially the ones that are happening on the user's device, because there is no way to know like what's happening on the user device without having a tool like Sentry. So I'm using Sentry, and here under projects, I used it in the invoice generator, and I see that for two times, for two different users, the app was hanging. So I can go back and see what's happening. So app hanging, maybe I'm gonna look through this to see why exactly. This is the iPad Pro, so on the iPad Pro was happening. So like this, you can debug and see why is it crashing in production. But there are other ways where you can run it in release mode locally, so you could validate and debug it before you release it to the user, not to test it on users. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have a home screen and we have a show details. Perfect. Think I'm gonna go right away and start integrating Stream, because the first feature that I'm gonna work with is the video calling. This is crazy, but like because it's a huge feature to start the project with, but it's the main feature of application. So I'd rather have this working and not having anything else around it, compared to having like a login and settings and so on, but not having the main features. So let me go ahead and go into Stream documentation. Let's go into the products, video and audio, and let's do docs. Let's select React Native here and go to the documentation. Video on audio. And I'm thinking maybe I should set up the chat first. I'm still figuring if I want to set up chat or not. For Expo. Maybe I'm gonna set the chat first, and that will start the process towards video. But you can start from video directly. So let's go ahead and React Native. And okay, build on top of Stream Chat API. The Stream Chat in React Native SDK components include everything you need to build feature-rich applications. So yeah, perfect. Let's go ahead and start with installation. So first things first, make sure to have a development environment for React Native. Okay. For Expo, you can follow this guide. Perfect. Add Stream Chat SDK and its peer dependencies. Let's select Expo here and let's start by installing npx expo install Stream Chat Expo. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna install Stream Chat Expo. Do you use Express for backend? No, like sometimes I use it, but most of the times I try to use some backend as a service. More recently, I started using Supabase, which is super powerful. Going to the next step, this is the peer dependencies. So I'm gonna copy them as well and install them, such as a flat list and so on. So what did we install? Yes, we installed some peer dependencies. A few other optional dependencies. Maybe we're gonna go back here, like if we want to add the possibility to play the video when sending a video message, we're gonna need this one or audio messages. But I'm gonna come back to them later and install them if we actually need them. Because it's gonna be a matter of configuring them and setting like, yeah, you can do that and that's it. Do we have Expo Media Library installed for media? No, we don't. Image picker? No. Expo AV, we don't have it, so we don't need anything here. Additional steps. Some dependency requires to change to our application for example, for React Native Reanimated, which was installed here. React Native Reanimated was installed here. We can look at their documentation for the most up-to-date information about Reanimated and see what else do we need to do other than installing it. And one of the things that we need to do is to add this Reanimated plugin in our Babel config. So I'm gonna go here in Babel config under plugins, which is here at the top. I'm gonna add the Reanimated plugin. And probably that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. What else do we need here? Yeah, for gesture handler, we need to wrap our whole application, which is in our app layout, in the gesture handler root view. And this will allow, where is it? Come on. Where I'm importing it from here and putting the whole stack inside it to make sure that we can track and handle gesture correctly. Now you should be able to run the application by running Expo Yarn iOS, Yarn Android. I'm wondering, do you need, I don't think we need here custom development build. At some point we're gonna need it, but now probably not. So let me actually restart and do clear. Should you use Supabase plus Export Router API routes together, like for using secret API keys? I think it's either or, because if you're using Supabase, you could use their edge functions for backend code, for the backend functions. Because when using Supabase, you don't have like secret keys, like talking with Supabase, you would do that through authorization keys. Like you would allow users to create an account, sign in, sign up, and then they get a token that they can use to talk with the server. And you could do things, for example, if you're working with an OpenAI model, interacting with OpenAI API, which requires a private key, you could do that from the Supabase edge functions. So it's either you're doing it from Supabase edge functions, or you could do that through Expo Router API routes. But in that case, like if you do through Expo Router API routes, you also have to deploy your web target of the project. So that's just for things to keep in mind. So it's either or, you can choose. I wanted to build a video application. All right, so here is a tutorial on how you can do that as well. Let's go ahead. After installation, let's go to the next steps. And the next steps would be overview. So Stream provides a lot of pre-made UI components that we can take and use out of a box, and we can also adjust them if we need. But the pre-built ones are pretty good and are very good and allows us to get started very fast. So what do we need first? We need to stream chat for React Native users. Okay. First, we need the API key. So I'm going to go in my dashboard. I'm going to create an application. Let's call it P2P language learning. P2P LL for me is going to be P2P language learning for now. Environment development, the servers, I can do EU. And here I could do, let's actually do US, Ohio. And let's go ahead and do create application. Okay, now I have my key here, which I'm going to be able to use. Back to the documentation. What do I need to do is I need maybe in the root layout to set up and configure Stream Chat client. So the client is going to be this one. Using the API key. Let's use process.env expo public stream API key. And I'm going to take this name and go and create a .env file with this variable, expo public stream API key. For environment variables that you need access in the client side, you need to prefix them with expo public. In this case, this is an environment variable that I need access to in the client side because I need access in our application to initialize the client. So just with that, I think when I'm going to start it again, it's going to pick it up, as you saw here, expo public stream API key, and I'm going to have a connection with a client, with a stream chat client. The next step is connecting a user. Tokens are used to authenticate a user. Typically, you send this token from your backend to the client when a user registers or logs in. We're going to see that a bit later, but now we can use developer tokens if desired, but for the purpose of these guys, it will be assumed you have created and retrieved a user token. Let's use developer tokens. This is a way to test in development without having authentication in our application. So let's go ahead in tokens and authorization. And let's go ahead and see developer tokens. On the dashboard, select the application to enable developer tokens. Let's go into the application. We're gonna go to chat overview, to authentication. Where is it? Here, I think, and we scroll down until we see authentication. And I think we do disable off checks. Toggle disable off checks and then save. Good. In my client, in my here, in the P2P, let's do here stream. I'm gonna add a to-do for me. Turn move to proper authentication and turn off dev tokens. That's gonna be a bit later, maybe even today, but I just want to see something working. This disables the authentication checks but does not remove a requirement to send a token. So send either a client-generated development token or manually create one and hard-code it into your application. So I'm gonna do that with client dev token like this. So let's copy this code. The above code used the connect user. Okay. That's it. Now let's go back here and say that in the layout, when the component mounts, that's going to be our use effect, I want to call client.connectUser, ID John, name John, image something there, and for the token, this is this one, I'm going to do client.devToken, and I need to pass in the same ID as here. And this only works, this client dev token John only works with development clients. So I'm using it as a shortcut, but later on I'm going to properly give a token that Stream can understand that, hey, the user that is trying to actually connect is the user that our backend will authenticate, will say like, yeah, that's the user who wants to do that. We're gonna cover that as well later when we add the proper backend. So it's recommended to not repeatedly call connect users multiple times. Will result in attempting to call connect user before disconnecting a current user will throw an error. To disconnect a user, you can call disconnect user. So that means that if I do here return something, that is going to be our client.disconnect user. Alternatively, you can also use create chat client hook from to create a client instance and automatically connect the user. That's actually super helpful. I'm gonna try that in a second. So let me do here to do check use create chat client hook. Sounds very good. Next step, channels are the core of Stream Chat. They are where messages are sent and interacted with. So channels is a way where people are chatting. It can be one-to-one channel, it can be many-to-many. Before diving, there are channel types. They are required for creating a channel that controls the settings for a given channel. So there are default 5 types and we can create our own. For example, a live stream will allow unauthenticated guest users to chat. In a messaging, it will enable permissions, where it will enable the who is online or who is not online. So there are settings that are grouped in these channel types, and you can also create your own. A channel must be initialized with either an ID or a list of members for the channel. If you provide the list of members, an ID will be auto-generated on the backend for the channel. We can add or remove members. Okay. Let's go ahead and create this channel. I'm gonna create it maybe after connecting the user. And I'm wondering, is this connect user async? Yeah, this is async. So let's go ahead and create here a function, setup client. And having this async setup client, I'm going to move this code here, and it will allow me to do a wait. And I just have to remember to call this setup client in our use effect body. Now, after I wait the creation of user, I can go ahead and create a channel. If I do that, create channel, I can later on to create this channel on the server, we can do a wait create. So this is just setting up its data, but then we do channel create, and this will create it on the channel, on the server. For on-fly creation, you should instead call watch function on the channel, as this both creates the channel and subscribe to client updates. So maybe we can do watch here, and that will both create and subscribe to updates. Now, if we go here under chat messaging in Stream dashboard into the usage, or maybe Explorer, there is channels here. If I look at the channels, there are no results. If I look at the users, there is already the notjust.dev user, which is our admin. So if I'm going to reload, let's see what would happen. Reloading would be creating a channel. So I expect to see a channel on the server. If I look here, there is no problems here. If I reload the Explorer, I already have a new user, John, with information name John Doe and this image that's coming from our client connect user. And in the channels, we have a messaging, the park, which is the ID of our channel, which was created right now when we call this method. And I think if I reload, it shouldn't give me an error, because if a channel already exists, it's just not going to create it. It will simply connect to it. And yeah, it just remains only one. Nice. Now that we have a channel and we have a client, we can go ahead, continue the documentation to learn how we can use pre-made components to display something on the screen. So configuring UI components. Now that you have a client instance, a user set, and a channel created on the server, you can set up your project to use UI components. The first one is the overlay provider. And the overlay provider is the highest level component, so it should go like probably in our root layout. Let's go ahead and import it here, and let's maybe it's not from Stream Chat React Native. We'll see. But what I know is that it's going to be very high in our application, but at the same time inside our gesture handler root view. Stream Chat React Native, I don't have it. Stream Chat Expo. React import. What? Why do you care? Okay, never mind. Hey, bug array. What I'm building today. Today I'm starting a brand new project that I'm going to build from idea until I get it to the market. And the project that I'm building is a peer-to-peer language learning application that would allow users that wants to learn a language to get on a call and chat with someone else, and this way practice a language. So I'm building a mobile application with React Native and Expo and Stream Chat that would allow users to get on a call and practice a language. And I'm going to document the whole journey here on YouTube during this week. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow the journey that I'm going to share here. Now I'm still setting up Stream Chat, and now I'm going to go into the next component after I did the overlay provider. I'm going to do the chat client here. So the chat is the next level that requires, okay. It's a way for us to expose the client to the components. So if I'm going to go here and do chat, I have a chat here. I need to import it from Expo stream chat like this, but I also need access to the client. But the client is here, so all good. Going next. The next part is channel list. Stream chat for React Native provides a channel list component. This component will display the channels that we are part of, basically a list of groups. So all we have to do is render channel list, and I'm going to do that already not in the layout, but in the index, like this component that displays the index screen. So instead of rendering maybe the button with a container and everything else, let's render the channel list that we're going to import from, channel list from Stream Chat Expo. If I do that, as you can see, we already have a list with the first chat called the park. This the park is the channel that you remember we created here with the title the park that we joined initially. And as we are going to start talking with more users, they are going to appear here in the channel list that we are part of. The next point is the channel. When creating a chat screen, it is required that the channel component wraps. Channel. The channel will allow us to display messages. So yeah, I'm gonna think a bit later how to do it better, but now I can do here a state variable with channel that will store the channel that we want to display. Come on. This is going to be imported from here. I'm going to give onSelect in the channel list. On the channel list, I'm gonna say when you select something, set this channel in state. Now, if there is a channel in state, I want to render the channel. So that's why we have this channel rendered here, but I want to do that conditionally. So to do it conditionally, I'm going to do it like this. If there is a channel, question mark, then I want to render the channel. Otherwise, I want to render the list of channels and allow users to select one. Now if I reload, I see the list of channels, but as soon as I select or I press on something, it disappears because we have a channel in state and we're trying to render this channel. And if we go next and render also the message list as part of our channel, for example here, if we're gonna delete this component, and render the message list, which we should also import from stream chat. Where is it? Message list. And if I'm gonna select it, we're gonna see no chats here yet. But if I'm going to go ahead and render another component called message input, we're gonna see that at the bottom we got an input, and I can already go ahead and start typing a message. I can send it here, and this is our chat. If I will reload, I already have the chatting functionalities working here. I can go ahead and give emojis. I can go ahead and reply. I can go ahead and say hello there. I don't know why it reloaded, but I'm gonna go again and say reply. I'm gonna say hello, send, and we're gonna see them here. I can go ahead even add GIFs. Let's search, let's send this one, and as you can see, it works perfectly fine. I can add images, but I didn't install the necessary library, so as it just takes a matter of installing the library, and then I can send images here. But I'm gonna still decide like if in the language learning I want to send images. So yeah, now we have this one here. So in summary, what we did so far, we need a client that is the instance of stream chat to provide to the UI components. We need to connect the user so that the backend knows who is the one who is sending the message. As we see here, this is the JD, which is John Doe. That's the name of my user. You need to surround your application with overlay provider for the UI to function properly. And the UI overlay provider is helping for example, this kind of overlays and things like that. Channel list provides access to the list of available channels in the UI. Using props can be queried, filtered, and sorted by as desired. The channel component is the functional wrapper of the message list, message input, and thread components. Perfect. Next step, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to create a GitHub repository for this project. Let's call this P2PLL, peer-to-peer language learning. It's going to be private, as I was saying, like I'm not going to share the source code for this because they are, I'm trying to publish them and maybe even create a business out of them. We'll see how it works. But now I'm going to just copy this one. Let me check if I have a git ignore and if .env file is here. I don't see it. So I'm going to add .env. And I'm going to go and say git status, git add, git commit -m, setup stream chat, git push origin. I don't have that yet, so I'm gonna add remote URL and then git push origin main. Now if I go here and reload, yes, I should have the code for my application. Perfect. So, as you can see, you can adjust the theme of stream chat to set your own theme with different colors to customize it. You can also support dark mode, but you can also provide all of these components manually. For example, the channel preview title, you can customize it and send it as a custom component with exactly the way you want it to look. Message list and so on. You can run polls. Okay, so that was the basic chatting. It's still not like perfect because I cannot go back from here. But we're gonna figure this out a bit later. In the index, let's see, channel. What if I add here, get channel by ID. I need to query, right? It creates a chain if it doesn't exist yet. If the user has various. If all you need is to ensure the channel exists, you can do create. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to say, let's do here header left. I'm gonna add the title back, which is not necessarily like a button, can be like an icon. And what it's going to do is going to do on press. Let's do set channel to undefined, and it's going to only be there if a channel exists. So now there is nothing there. If I go here, there is a back, and I can go back here, and that's how it will allow me to go back and forth between the channel and the list of channels. Later, we're going to improve this for maybe the channel itself is going to have its own page, but for now, I think it's good. Okay. Now what I want to do is probably in the videos to start integrating the video. How is it going so far, everyone? Hello, Omar from Bangladesh. How are you doing? Hello, everyone who is joining us from Twitter, by the way. I'm gonna open my door to get some air, and then we continue. Okie dokie. What's up here? Maybe it's type, channel type. No, not like this. No, I'm gonna leave it like this and see it later. What's up? Okay, so extensions in cursor. Let's see what extensions I'm using. Have a look here. These are the extensions. And for the theme, like this is where it's coming from, material theme. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the video and audio calling. I'm gonna go step by step for the documentation to enable it as well. So this is going to allow us to run video calls and audio calls. Let's do installation and size. What does size mean? Let's go ahead and install npm stream.io video React SDK. Git status. The quick start. We need to create an instance of stream video client. So I'm gonna import these ones, most probably in the layout, somewhere here. Stream call, stream video client and user. Okay. There is going to be these fields that we are going to need. This is the chat client, right? Let's call it even chat client. And this is going to be chat client, chat client, chat client, chat client, and here chat client. Now we're going to go ahead and do a video calling client. So for the API key, I think it's going to be the same as here. So for that reason, I'm gonna move it here at the top and say this is the API key that we use both for chat client. The user ID, let's say that initially is going to be John. I'm gonna use user ID here as well. Token, we need authentication token. Let's do that with dev token like this, using user token. Chat client should be maybe above. User token, and then we have a user. So the user, I think it's this one. It needs ID, and I'm gonna even give name and image. So in a way, we are sharing like the same user information between the video and the stream chat. Maybe we can take this user and give here in the connect user for this one. It's not assignable. Maybe not now. Maybe we're gonna leave it like this for a second. Token. Let's go back and see what else. We need to create a video client. So similar to how we created the chat client, we're gonna create here a video client. The API key, user, and token. Then we can create a call and join it right away. Let's just use video client instead of client. We create a call, my first call, and we join it. What's gonna happen? I don't know. Maybe the call, we should do it somewhere else. Let's hold the call creation for a bit. Let's just use stream video, which is the provider for our client. At this layer, at the root layout, I'm going to use, similar to how I provided the chat client, I'm going to provide here the stream video with the video client. Now my whole application has access to the video client. I'm going to go now in the Let's, in our application, call another one video, or let's do call.tsx. I'm going to export default a call screen. That for now is going to render nothing. Let me make it easier for myself to move between the chat and the call by going here in the application and creating a new folder called tabs. I'm gonna copy paste or maybe I'm going to move index to tabs and call to tabs. Then in tabs, I'm going to create an underscore layout.tsx file to set up our tabs. From here, I just simply have to export tabs imported from Expo router. And if I reload, we see tabs with home screen and call at the bottom. We're gonna figure out maybe here in the stack we can do screen options header shown false, and now it's better. We have home and we have calls. Perfect. Let's go into the call screen. And because we have a tab, we are not rendering anything here. Let's see, let's call this call client. Question, but we need the video client, right? Maybe I'm actually going to do that at the layout level. I'm gonna create the call and join it. In a second, we're gonna figure out how to do it better, but now I just want to see a call. And in the call screen, no, I don't have it here. How to do it? Use stream video client. I think this is going to give us access to the video client. And from here, we can create a call and join it using the video client. And using that one, we can go ahead and render a stream call. The stream call is going to be imported from Stream.io Video React Native. And if I go to the calls here, what's happening? I don't know what's happening, but nothing bad so far. Good. This is just the data about the call. Again, we still have to render components for the call. Let's move on. Again, there are 4 call types. Call ID, get or create, rendering the video. The call state can be accessed using hooks or exposed for a top-level use call state hook. You'll often work with use participants hook. Have a look below how it works. So use participants. I think this is a way how you can maybe we can do that. So let's go ahead and create in components a new component called my video UI.tsx. I'm going to export like this a component. Now, all we need to do is this my video UI in our call page to wrap it inside stream.call. So here we're gonna do my video UI component. So now everything in my video UI has access to this call data. So in the my video UI, what we can do is we can say, hey, give me a list of participants in that call. This is a hook that can be imported from Stream Chat, And I can go ahead and do a console log. Use participants below. So use participants, and then participants, we call the use participants. And this is what we're gonna get. If I go here, we're gonna see empty array. We're gonna see why that is the case, but we can go ahead and render these participants on the screen. So let's render them, loop through them and render them on the screen. Participants. This should be a TSX file, and the participants view a pre-built component from there. Now if I come here, it doesn't work because why? Is it because here video client doesn't have a video client? We'll see. The participants objects have information about render videos and so on, but before I go next, I just need to see what's up with my video calling. If I go into the overview and create a call, recent calls, nothing, Explorer. Calls default my first call. So my first call is here. It's created by this user, but in members failed with user with ID customer free not found. User with ID customer free not found. I think the problem is with the layout. User ID. Video API key user and token. Sharwan is asking what we are doing. So we are building a peer-to-peer language learning application that would allow users that wants to learn a language to join a call with a stranger, a random person, and practice the language that they want to learn. Now we are integrating Stream Chat to allow the video calls. We already have a chatting functionalities here enabled. We can chat. And now we're working on the calls. For some reason, my call doesn't allow me there. Members, user with ID customer free, but where is customer free coming from? Because user ID is John. User ID. Maybe I need to do my second call, because maybe it was created when I was not yet a member. So if I go here, my second call, where my second call, members, no results yet. But if I go here into the call and look, it's still empty. Call.join. Created by John. That's true. And why? Call.join. I don't have to do this one here, right? Because we said that we are doing it here. So let's do second call. Yeah. Maybe I also have to disable the authentication checks, or that is not here. Let's see in the quick start. Client and authentication. Token. Generating a token. Tokens need to be generated server side. For development purpose, you can use our token generator. Let's try the token generator. Let's try the token generator. Unique string to identify a user. I think the unique string to identify a user in our case is John. User ID. And the secret is we can find in the dashboard. Let me see. I'm gonna take the secret from my dashboard, put it here. Let me do that. I'm gonna put it here, and that gave me a token. So I'm gonna copy that token, and I'm going to use that token in my code here instead of a dev token. So let's try to see if that is going to work. Now if I reload, I still can access this chat, and if I go to calls, user ID token, in the call, if I do third call, reload, if I go here, still the participants is empty. My third call. Use effect. Let's do here if, okay, like that. When we do join, and the join is a promise, so we do const call equal, or no, it's just await. Look, let's do like this. Const setup call. We're gonna do await here, and let's do set call with this and store it in state. Now, if there is no call, return null, otherwise return this one. So let's see it this way. If we are joining and awaiting, and only then something is happening. It's still undefined. Because video client never... No, video client is there. I'm doing something wrong. If I look here, did it create? Third call, members, no data. So we go here. RTC peer connection doesn't exist. RTC peer connection doesn't exist. Yeah, man, I'm doing something wrong here. Oh, it has integration with Sentry. That's nice. Let's try this log info when we set up the video client. And maybe I actually need to create a development client. I think that's the problem. I think actually that's the problem. Logger. Console.log. Let me check once again, but yeah. React Native. Installation Expo. Yes, that's what I'm missing, a development build. And let's install all the dependencies. I think I was following the wrong documentation. I was following the React documentation. My bad, my bad. Let's go ahead and do, what do I have right now? Call or video, stream.io, video React SDK. Yes, obviously. I don't even need it. Sorry guys, my bad. So I'm going to do npm remove stream.io video React SDK. I don't know how I missed that. And I'm going to install the ones for React Native and Expo specifically. I'm also going to install the dev client. Something wrong with peer dependencies. WebRTC. So I'm just gonna create a .npmrc file to set up a configuration for npm. I'm gonna do legacy peer deps true. I'm gonna try again this whole command to install all of these dependencies. Someone managed to use React DevTools with Zustand. Okay, this is installed. I'm going to also install the Expo Dev client. So Expo Dev client is going to provide us the UI that we have in Expo Go once we create a custom development build. Let's do that. Because now we're no longer going to use Expo Go, we're going to build a custom development build. Before I start the build, let me just double check if I need any additional information. For Android, I don't need to do anything. I don't want that. For the Video React Native SDK, highlight star highlight 10. So let's add these ones in our plugins. So I'm going to go into our hub.json under the plugins. First of all, I'm going to move the plugins at the bottom. And I'm going to add this code after Expo Router. So we have here React Native, Video React Native SDK, config plugins React Native WebRTC, camera permission, yeah, some configuration for WebRTC, so it's compatible with new architecture, which is good. And it's a matter of building it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with npm expo pre-build clean. Let's continue. What happened here? Cannot find expo build properties. We need to install it. Who is using it? I don't know. npx expo install expo build properties. And let's do it again. Pre-build clean, continue. And this will create my Android and iOS folders. I'm gonna right away go ahead and add them to my git ignore, because I want to generate these folders on the fly based on the configuration. This is called continuous native generation. I don't want to commit or do any manual changes to these directories. What does legacy pure dependencies do? To be honest, I don't really know, but when there is issues with the new way of npm handling pure dependencies, when, for example, one library needs a newer version of a dependency and all other library needs another version of the same library, the new way doesn't work. So with legacy pure dependencies, it works. So I just use that whenever I get that error related to unmeshed pure dependencies. And now after having this iOS folder, I'm going to do npx expo run iOS. And this is going to build a native side project, and I'm going to be able to run it with any custom native code on my device here. While this is building, let's go ahead and follow some of the documentation, see what can we expect next. So in the quick start, we'll cover the basics of making your first call using stream video. If you haven't already, we recommend starting with introduction and the installation. In the introduction, did we miss anything? No, probably. Client setup and calls. Create an instance of stream video client that will establish a WebSocket connection by connecting a user. Next, you create a call object and join the call. We'll specify create to create the call if it doesn't exist. So we have API key, user token, call ID, user. We create a client and then we create a call. That's something that we already have, right? When creating a call on the client, the string default is a call type. This default is a call type. There are 4 built-in call types. You can also create your own. So default, simple one-to-one calls for large group video calling with sensible defaults. Audio rooms is for audio only, probably. Live stream, I think we are gonna need the default. Now, the second argument is the call ID. The call ID, for example, here, call ID. Call IDs can be reused, meaning it's possible to join a call with the same ID multiple times, for example, for recurring meetings. However, for ringing calls, you should always provide a unique call ID. When you want to ring someone, when you want to call, it should be a unique call ID. Then we're going to be able to render video, call participants list. And I think that's what we're going to render first. We'll see. While this is building, I'm going to take a very short break and we continue building it after I get back. Okay, so see that it's still building. Okay, the participant object contains all essential information to render videos such as audio, video tracks, user information, enable status, camera and microphone. Most video application will show buttons to mute and mute the video or audio. This is like some customization. I think you can even get some things out of a box. All right, so now that our application is built, it asks us to open in a separate application. No longer Expo Go, but it's P2P language learning. This should be our custom development build, which will have access to the native code that Stream Chat needs. The chat is still working. Can go back and let's see what's gonna happen here if I go into the call. Undefined connection, I'll call back. So this one. I'm still gonna go probably in the application layout and do I need to do that? If we go here, export sharing, export, okay. But these are just logs. Peer connection doesn't exist. Video client in the layout. Oh, stream video client. And video client, I'm providing it here. Again. API key. We take it from there. And it's the same for audio and video, this API key as there, because yes. Next, user ID, token, and call ID. User ID, token that was generated for that user ID, and then the user. Maybe I'm going to comment out this. Then what it does, it new API key, user, and token. Let's try to create this call. My call ID. Call, join, create. And if instead of rendering the stack here, which should be rendered, let's right away render the call with my video UI in that case. I still don't see anything. What am I doing wrong? My call ID, members. Maybe I'm not a member, so I remember there was a call in the documentation called development, the call type, which, yeah, this development. Let's try a development call to see, maybe I don't have permissions, and that's the problem. So call type here instead of default, development. And my dev call. my dev type development, members, nothing. I can create a call in the dashboard. I can allow here the camera, allow the microphone, maybe mute it. I'm gonna take this call ID and I'm going to try to join it from my phone. If I do that, console log participants. This is React SDK. Wait a second. Again, I'm missing things. From React Native SDK. And we get another issue regarding notify. Let's try to render this one. So in the quick start, did I miss something about notify? No. This would be for push notifications. I don't see it in the getting quick start. So I'm gonna go into the push notifications. Maybe I just will install it. Notify React Native. This is the one that I'm going to set up right now. Let's install it. And I have to do npx expo pre-build clean. Is the call type correct? Now probably no, but I put it in development just to see what's going on. It's good that now I saw that the problem was my import. I was importing the hooks from somewhere else. Now it works, but it needs access to that notify internally, which is related to notifications. So I'm install it and I will give it a try one more time. And let's do npx expo run iOS. Mobin is saying, my Mac Mini begging for an upgrade. Jamie, I need to win this MacBook. My little Air can't cope anymore. I understand the problem. My laptop is also like quite old. It's like an Intel. And I'm happy that I have like the studio. But yeah, keep building, and I think it's very doable to win the hackathon. Try changing the call type to live stream. Let's try this one, like to just install that library, because that was the problem. And then we're gonna debug it more. and I'm gonna try if I don't have any other solutions. So the goal for today is to have like the setup ready for me to be able to create calls, to be able to chat, and then to think about like how the whole flow, the whole process is going to work. Because this is not like a simple calling application. I'm thinking like when it comes to the UX to do it more like chat roulette, where you just go live and we're gonna try to match with a user, create a call, and then you can press a button and go to the next one. Like, I don't know, not like normally like to search someone and to call, like that to be too formal. To be more like, okay, now I have some time to practice. I'm gonna go ahead and in a way like speed dating would work, which is very bad to compare it with that, but anyway, like, so that's going to be the challenging part, to see how to do it properly, like from the UX perspective. Not just Daniel is saying, guys, how is it possible that 73 people are watching and here is just 28 likes? I'd press like at least for Vadim's amazing shirt. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you for reminding people. And by the way, don't worry, you'll there. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot. And from analytics, we see that more than 99% of people watching are not subscribed, which is crazy. Let's see. Okie dokie. Reaper is saying, I'm confused why people did not subscribe to this golden channel. Thank you. I don't know. They trust too much the YouTube algorithm, and they know that YouTube is going to recommend them more. Okay, it's very close to the finish being built. Now it's running, refreshing, and it's opening. Let's see what it will do now. Continue. Notify native module not found. It was the same problem, right? npm start clear, development build, and let's do iOS. Unable to resolve stream video React. Oh yeah, but it's already not there. Where am I importing it from? Where? Video React. It should be Video React Native. That React messed up a lot of things for me. Let's try. Let's run. Now it's gonna work. Now it's gonna work. Here in the dashboard, I have a call, which it's working. And from the device, I'm going to join the same call. Continue. We see allow access to camera, allow. Allow access to microphone, allow. And just like that, we have the call. And from here, is it the same call or not? Anyway, something is happening. We have a call, we have a participant's view. And the problem is that the device does not have a camera. But if I'm gonna go into the layout and say call ID, is it this one? And call. Let's create a new call. If I copy the ID and use it here, the type is default. Default. Look at this. I joined the same call. And as you can see here, I have me from browser, me from the device. And here I have me from browser, hello, hello, and me from the device. That's awesome. That's our calling enabled. Oh my God. So happy for that. And that means that I can maybe comment this out and render the stack so that I can do the same from my call, right? If I go into my call, tabs. Here I can use the same ID from the browser. Yeah, I had like a lot of connections because I was not doing it in the right place. But now I'm joining the same call. And as you can see, it's not only like one-to-one calls, it also allows multiple many-to-many calls, like group calls. And then I can do end call. And from here, it's also going to probably end it. Perfect, 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 perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Now that we have it working, we need to make it right. We need to make it proper, right? So that's going to be our next steps. Now that we have it working, let's see. Client joining and creating calls. Call and participant state, or camera and microphone. But I think this one has some pre-built UI components. UI components, let's see. UI overview. Participant view. So participant view displays the video. If the participants have video, it displays audio level, names, connection status, or the avatar if he doesn't have video. You can use call content. You can use the call content, call participant layout. Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for. The call content is one of the easiest thing that we can use. And maybe I can do it even in the call without my video UI. So if I comment this out and just render call content, and I go here, this has everything, like the people, it has possibility to mute, unmute, the controls, hangout, the call, and so on. Thank you. So this call content contains everything together without us having to loop or do anything else. But we're gonna still see like how we're gonna do it, because maybe in some things we're gonna need like some adjustments. Give me a second. Thank you very much. Okay. call participants layout, a call video. There is also ringing incoming and outgoing calls. You can implement incoming and outgoing screens using ringing call content, which has either incoming or ongoing call. But in our case, our application is not going to have like ringing, right? Or at least that's how I see it at the beginning. I don't want to random people to ring because it's not like a social media. It's more like to talk with random people. I don't want you to be able to bother someone else. It's just whenever both of them say like, yeah, I want to call, I need to somehow connect them. Joining a call. Call content. Call controls. This is the call controls. Lobby, there is also lobby before joining a call. So there is a lot of things. Stream call. Stream video. I don't need live streams. We can also do chat integration between calls and video calls and chat. And push notifications. Okay, so let me go ahead here and say git stream video call setup. Git push origin main. Okay. What we're gonna build next. Now I'm starting a brand new project and I'm building a peer-to-peer language learning application that allows people that want to learn a language to practice talking with others on the application. And we do that through video calls or audio calls, depends. So we have a chat integration working. We have video calls working. And I just need to make them properly work. Status. We have this one here. All right, so we are 2 hours in. What do we want to do? Either we already start with proper authentication to allow users to create an account. Because that's also like one of the I would call these things piping. So under the MVP, even though it's like not necessary, but it's needed, I would add here probably to do authentication. Because we need people to be able to create an account and authenticate in order to be able to connect and to be able to get access to it. Right now with the video calls, we are doing that with development tokens, but it's not enough to have development tokens once we are going to want to publish it. So to allow different users to connect between each other, we need to have actually a backend. So I think it's time to go ahead and start setting up our backend and start setting up our authentication flows so that the user can create an account. That account connects automatically with his account on stream, and that will allow us to move forward and start connecting users between each other. Please don't do video calls. I mean, do only voice calls. That would be more relevant, I guess. Yeah, actually, that's very true. But we can do that as well. Like, we can do audio calls only. And for learning a language, I believe audio calls are also good. That's a good idea. Ideas. Maybe we don't need video calls at all and you just use audio calls. While video calls create like this personal touch, like it might add a bit of frictions. The benefit of video calls is you have like a personal connection, maybe easier to understand when you see someone talking, maybe you can articulate, but at the same time it might add a bit of friction. Maybe we're gonna allow users to select like do they want to go with video or not, and then track it in the backend, like how everything is working. But that's a good point. Now let's go ahead and start setting up our backend. For that, I'm going to use Supabase. Let's go ahead and start a new project. In Supabase, I think there is a Supabase React Native. There is a guide here called Build a User Management App with Expo React Native that has the basic setup with accounts and so on. So what we have to do is create a new project in Supabase. I'm gonna go here, Supabase dashboard, create a new project here. Let's call it P2PLL. I'm gonna give it a database password. And I'm going to, I think my stream servers, we did US. Where is it? Yeah, most probably it was US East. So for Supabase, maybe I'm going to go as well with US East. Let's go and set up a project. While this is creating our database and everything in the cloud, the next step that we're gonna have to do is to set up a database schema, and Supabase has a starter for user management. That's what we need. Like, we need a table that will handle users so that we can authenticate and already have it in the database. Let's see here. This shouldn't take too long. Maybe meanwhile we can install things in our application. Yeah, let's do that because we're gonna probably have to start a new build. I don't need the React Native UI themed. I just need Supabase.js, maybe React Native async storage. Maybe instead of React Native async storage, we could use the new Expo SQLite. That is a replacement. So Expo SQLite that has the key value store. It's a replacement for async storage, but baked by SQLite. So I'm gonna install these two. And I'm gonna start a new build. So let me do pre-build. Video call as a premium account. That's a good idea. Video calling for pro users. And only connect pro users with pro users. Let me do npx expo run iOS to start the build process while we are going to set up our backend. So the initial backend was set up, our project is ready. If we go into the table editor, in our public schema, we don't have any tables, but Supabase already sets up some other things like in the auth that we should not touch, but we already have like users table for authentication and so on, for storage and everything else. Now, if we want to have more information about the user in our public schema, such as his avatar or his name or his bio and so on, we need to create a table in the public and link it to a user in the authentication system. And the authentication is also on Supabase. So to do that, I'm going to go into the SQL editor, and there is here quick starts. And the quick start, there is a user management starter. It sets up a public profiles table, which you can access with your API. Let's press this one and let's run it. What it does, it creates a new table in our public schema called profiles. And it also creates an automatic trigger so that every time we create an account, we sign up, it will introduce a new field here. Now let's go back here in the guide. And we can go ahead and run Supabase link locally. I'm using npx to prefix all of these Supabase commands in order to use Supabase on the fly, like not to have it installed globally. So I'm going to do npx and then Supabase link. And for project ref, I'm going to go back in my project into the settings. And here there is project ID. This is the ID of a project that I'm going to take and use it to link my npx Supabase here. Let's install the latest version of Supabase. And it cannot read what? Supabase config no such file. Yeah, because I need to do npx Supabase init. By doing that, we're going to create a new folder Supabase, and I'm going to say yes here to configure VS Code for Dino. We're going to know a bit more about Dino in a second. Now we have a Supabase folder, and I can run the previous command to link the local Supabase to the remote one that we created. We need the database password, and I already forgot it, so that's why I'm going to go back into the project settings. Under database, there is somewhere here a way to reset database. So database password, we can reset it, and I'm going to reset it to something. I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna press reset on the dashboard. I'm gonna paste it in my terminal to connect there. So what do I see? Local config differs. Try updating Supabase config. What's that? Connecting. Finished. Don't like this one. Lock and warning, but it's a warning. Should I care about this? Local config differs. Local project link requests. Has been resolved. I don't know, we'll see if it will give us any issues. But on the other hand, my project has been rebuilt and I can go back here in the guide and see what do we need to do next. We are doing Supabase DB pool, but that's only for local development. This is optional. This is very optional. So because you need to have Docker desktop setup in order to run Supabase locally. Again, this is optional. I will need it to test some functions, but if you don't have it, it's going to be okay, because all you have to do is going to be to take the code and deploy it directly on your remote. So I'm going to show that in a second. But for me, I'm going to do npx supabase db pool linked, and that's going to take the database from the linked from supabase.com and run it locally and pull it in the local configuration here. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's go, let's see. Okay. Now I think it worked. We need the project URL and the unknown key from the API, and we are going to use them in our let's bring some keys in our .env file, and we're gonna call them expo public because we need them publicly. Supabase URL, and then expo public Supabase unknown key, and unknown key is anonymous key. Let's go into our general configurations project settings on supabase.com, into the API, and here there is project API keys. No, the first one is the URL at the top, so let's copy this one and put it under Supabase URL, and the second one is this unknown or public key. This key is safe for us to share in the client-side code because our access to the data is going to be handled with authorization rules to specific users. So that's how we're gonna do that. Never share the secret key that you see here, but the public one you can safely put it into the client-side code. Now that we have these two things, we can go ahead and create a Supabase client. I'm gonna do that in lib supabase ts. So let's create a new. I actually like to have a source directory, and I'm gonna create it now. Maybe I'm going to move, for example, application also in the source and components as well. So I'm gonna probably break a lot of things, but I'm gonna do that now because I really like to have a source code here in the source. Because in the root, like we have a Supabase, which is configuration for our backend. We have iOS, which is native. We have Android, and the code that I'm writing should be in the source. That's what I like. Now in the lib, I'm going to create here supabase.ts. That's where I'm going to create this Supabase project by copying this code from here. And let's put it here. We said that we're not going to use async storage, and instead of async storage, we're going to use the storage from expo SQLite /kv store. Is that how we are using it? Yes. Import storage from expo SQLite /kv store, key value store. We take this storage and we give it here. The Supabase URL is going to come from process.env.expo public Supabase URL, and the unknown key is going to come also from expo public Supabase unknown key from the environment variables. Now we are creating initializing a client using this URL and a key with some configurations to auto refresh tokens and so on. Now we are ready to set up a login component. So having this client here in our application, I'm going to create a new folder called auth. In the auth, I'm going to create a file called login.ts. Or maybe I'm going to go with index.ts, and the auth is actually going to be part of my URL. So without the parentheses. Index.tsx. Let's do export default auth and render something like this. Now in this layout, or maybe in the, where to put it? I'm gonna create a new folder called protected, and this folder will contain the tabs folder, but protected is going to have its own underscore layout.tsx that is going to have a goal of protecting from unauthenticated users. So export default protected layout, and what it's going to do is going to say it's going to get from somewhere whether the user is authenticated. I'm going to say false now. In a second I'm going to come back to see that. And if it's not authenticated, I'm going to return a redirect to /auth, the redirect component imported from expo router, obviously. href is not assignable. I don't know why. But here, if everything is good, I'm going to simply render that slot for now. Maybe later a stack navigator, we'll see. Also from expo router. Now in this layout, let's see if I will reload my application. What's gonna happen? Let me try to stop running server and start it again and reload it here. Why you're using Supabase Pro? Because I have a lot of projects, but yeah, free tier is good for startups, but I have a lot of projects. So we see welcome to Expo, start by creating the app folder, but I have it here in the source. I'm not sure why it didn't pick it up. So I'm going to stop it and maybe run it again. Source application, development build. It should automatically take it from here. Maybe I'm going to do index.tsx here for the home screen. So export default index. Let's initially redirect here to off for a second. Oh, come on. Settings, index. Guys, I have an app directory here. It should work. Why you're not working? iOS. Unable to resolve globals from source layout. Yeah, the URLs changed a bit. So from source application underscore layout, we have here // globals. We moved it one more layer. There is some more things probably around Tailwind content. Here it references the application and the components to see what classes to leave. So I'm gonna add here source and as well source. Let's go ahead and stop it and clear and start it again. iOS. Okay, so we have our application off screen rendered. It's just at the top of at the file. So if I do item center, we are going to see it here. Okie dokie, that's good. Why are you using source folder? Does it need? It's a way for me to group together all the source code or the code that I'm writing. Because if I have these folders in the root directory, they are siblings or they are mixed together with configuration files, which we have a lot of them. They're mixed with Supabase, with iOS, with Android. So it's hard to work on the application. Now I know that most of the code that I'm going to write is going to be somewhere in the source folder, and what's in the root is mostly configuration or backend or native side project and so on. So that's personal preferences. It works both ways, but I like to keep my source code in the source folder. Okay, so now we have libtsx here, and we can continue with our off screen application of index. Let's see here what we have to do. There is a thing here at the top. Let's maybe take it. Maybe it's a good thing. Upstate, add event listener. On change, if state equal, Supabase start of refresh, stop of refresh. So what it does is tell Supabase to continuously refresh the session automatically if the app is in foreground. When it's added, you will continue to receive on-off state changes events with the token refreshed or signed out events. If it's terminated, it should be registered once. Okay, good. Now we're gonna need the state for our email and password. So maybe I'm going to use here AI, generate a form with a username. Is it username or email? Yeah. With the email and password fields and 2 buttons. Create an account and sign in. Let's see what cursor is going to do. We have a form with password, handle sign in, that's good. Handle sign up is going to call sign up. It has text input, it has password. I don't know why touchable opacity. I would do that with a pressable, but it's okay. Let's accept it. I'm gonna remove what I had before. Let's do export default function of form, or maybe of screen. And see what do we get there. Cannot find the Expo SQLite module. Why you cannot find it? I installed it. Don't tell me I need to rebuild. Expo SQLite. Expo SQLite. We have it here. And why you are not there? Let's do clear again. Reload. Thoughts on using an ORM like Drizzle rather than calling Supabase functions directly? That would be helpful, yeah. Maybe not, I don't even need an ORM. Maybe I need a rect hook form to cache also these calls, but maybe a bit later. So something wrong with my Expo SQLite. So that means that I'm gonna have to do npx expo pre-build clean to generate the native side projects again and build it again. But I remember that I rebuilt it after installing it. Or no, maybe I'm wrong. Are you using inline code? Isn't ChatGPT or Codepilot? I'm using Cursor, which is, let me do npx expo run iOS. So I'm using Cursor, as you can see. This is not VS Code. This is a fork of VS Code with AI features. So you can look at cursor.com. It's an AI code editor. It's pretty cool, but I'm probably not using it enough. I should use it more, like to take advantage of it more. Now let's wait for the libraries to build. I'm going to take a very short break and we come back and continue with the Supabase authentication. Okay, so it's still building, right? Top man, thank you for your videos. Can you do something and run it on a TV with React Native? That would be so cool. I actually wanted, recently got a TV and I was thinking like maybe I should build something for TV. That would be really nice. Wouldn't using OAuth easier than email and password? Maybe, but still, I'm going to add them as the next step. Because for OAuth, I need both iOS and Android. Yeah, maybe it would be easier to do it with Google and Apple. I'll start with email and password. But indeed, maybe... That's very true, because in that case, I think for Supabase, for sending emails, I'm going to need, yeah. You know what? You're maybe very right. It might be even harder to do with email, with authentication like that, because I would need to confirm emails and set up a custom SMTP provider to handle the flows like password reset, which requires sending an email. And now to send an email, you need to sign up for an email service providers. Maybe I should just go with Apple. Because I'm building on it for iOS, and I should go with Apple, and that's it. Let's do that. Let's try it. Let's enable it here. And let's see what will it involve. It still cannot find module expo SQLite. Maybe I forgot to add a config plugin. So in app.json, in plugins, it has the expo SQLite. Come on, what's happening here? Okay, everything good now. I mean, there would be an extra step. First, creating an account, then signing in off would be simpler, just saying. Yeah, maybe it's even going to be easier. Login with Apple. Let's see in the docs. Supabase off support sign in with Apple on web and in native application. To support sign in with Apple, you need to configure Apple provider in the Supabase dashboard for the project. There are 3 general ways to sign in with Apple depending on the application you're trying to build. Sign in on the web or in web-based apps. Initiated by Supabase. So using sign in with Apple already by using sign in with Apple browser. Sign in natively inside iOS, macOS, watchOS apps using Apple authentication service. I think that's what I'm trying to do. In some cases, you're able to use the auth flow within web-based native apps such as React Native, Expo, native sign-in capability on both platforms instead. When developing with Expo, you can test sign-in with Apple via Expo Go. In all other cases, you'll need to obtain Apple developer account and enable the capability. Okay, Expo React Native. Using a native sign-in with Apple in Expo. When working with Expo, you can use the Expo Apple Authentication Library to obtain an ID token that you can pass to the Supabase. Just sign in with Apple. Follow the Expo docs for installation configuration instructions. When working with Bay React Native, you can use. When testing Expo Go, let's go into the Expo docs for Expo Apple Authentication. Is it the same as here? Yep. And this is a library that provides sign-in with Apple capabilities. And I'm not going to go with Google because if you have Google, you also have to have Apple. So I'm going to go with Apple, just have Apple, and then maybe later I'm going to add with Google as well. So let's go ahead and start by installing this one here. What are we building today? Today we're building a language application that would allow users to have a call with each other and practice the language that they are learning. We have already the chatting and video calling functionalities. Now we are working on the authentication. So, and we just started. We started 2 hours ago. You can configure using the building. To enable sign-in with Apple capabilities, set up iOS. Use Apple sign-in to true. In your project app.json, app.json. On iOS, here we need to set up use Apple sign-in. And in the plugins, we have this authentication. Was it added automatically? No, so we're gonna add it here. So in our auth, I'll just delete everything and do this. But I need I need to rebuild it. Expo pre-build clean. And let's do run iOS. So Apple authentication, the button type, sign in, button style black, corners radius, okay. Styles button. On press. Request scope, full name and email, sign in. And we are doing something similar here. We get credentials if we send it to Supabase. Expo ID. Client IDs list. Client IDs. If you're building a native app only, you don't need to configure auth settings. And we're talking about like these ones. So have an app ID which uniquely identifies the app you are building. You can create a new app ID from identifier section in Apple Developer Console. That is going to be in our app.json. This bundle identifier com. I think we're gonna call it differently. It's going to be dev, not just, and the name of application is going to be, what's going to be the name of our application? It's a good because now if I'm gonna press on that button, sign into your Apple account, you need to sign into your Apple account first. Okay, let me do that behind the scenes. Okay, I'm signing in. And here I can press sign in. I can share my email and I need to sign in again. Yeah, something doesn't work. Most probably because I didn't finish the configuration, right? I'm just gonna try to console log the error to see what's going on here. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't show me any error, but it doesn't work. But at the same time, I didn't finish like the whole configuration. Like even here, I need to provide the client ID. So the client ID would be the bundle identifier. Not still sure like how it's going to be called, but let's try this one. And maybe I actually need to so now Apple is enabled. I'm not sure if I need to actually enable it somewhere on my development account. For now, it's just here. Let me do view item center to put it in the center of the screen. Sign in with Apple. And if I press sign in with Apple, I'm going to try like this. The user canceled. Yeah, like something is not properly working. Profiles, nothing. Authentication. Users, nothing. Not yet, not yet. And have an Apple app ID. Probably I need to set it up in the identifiers on my certificates here. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna create it. App ID, continue, application, continue. And I'm gonna put the bundle identifier there. I'm gonna put the bundle identifier, and what do I need here is there are a lot of things, but sign in with Apple. I need this one. Enables primary app ID. Sign in with Apple. Enables primary server to server notification. I think I read that server to server authentication is not supported. So I'm gonna save it like this and continue, register. Hopefully now it's gonna work. And I'm gonna give it a try, one more try here in the application. Let's see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hide this screen for a second. Okay, and we see is of error true, and the of error is name of API error 400, user null. User null. Why? If I go into the of users, why, wait a second. Language learning. So, I messed up a bit. I'm supposed to do here this one, notjust.dev. My bad. So back into that language learning, can I update the bundle identifier, or I should create a new one? Yeah, I cannot do that, so probably I'm going to simply remove it and create a new identifier for my application ID. Continue. This is going to be the bundle identifier with notjust.dev, peer-to-peer language learning. Continue. And I need to add sign in with Apple. Sign in with Apple, continue, register. Okay, good. So now I think it should work. Or maybe I have to actually rerun it because I just updated the package name here. So most probably I'm going to have to remove application and rebuild it with first pre-build clean. And after pre-building, we're gonna build and have it running fresh with a new package name or bundle identifier on our device. And the same bundle identifier that we register on our device with capabilities of signing with Apple. Okay, let's try that one. I just joined the hackathon. Are participants only building an app, not four? Yes, participants should only build one application. So don't worry, like you don't have to build four. You just build one, you submit it, and that's it. What are you going to build, Mauz? What is the best solution for commercial iOS app development and maintenance? React app with Expo, Next.js, or React Native? If you want an iOS application, Next.js is not an option because with Next.js you build web applications. Then you got two options left, React app with Expo and React Native. In fact, using Expo is built on top of React Native. So when you're building an Expo application, you are using React Native. So in a way, for you to understand how everything works, the Expo is the framework on top of React Native, similar to how Next.js is a framework on top of React. So that's how you'd look at it. It's React, and on top we have Next.js as a framework, and here is React Native, and on top of it is Expo as a framework. So to build an iOS application, the answer is go ahead and use Expo, and you're gonna use React Native. You're gonna build a voice chat application. Nice. So then these tutorials that I'm building, the application that I'm building this week is going to be super helpful for you because today we are using Stream Chat to implement these voice chatting functionalities. Have you been following today's tutorial or you're just joining? If you're just joining, the video that we're doing now, the live stream, is going to be published on the channel. So later you can watch it from the beginning, and you're gonna see that we already integrated video calling and voice calling functionalities. So if I don't know, like, what is your plan if you want to build it from scratch, that's going to be probably overly complicated to build a voice chat application from scratch. So I'd highly encourage you to check out Stream Chat, which we are using today to build both the chatting and the video and audio calling. And we are just 2 hours in and we have already these features. Which platforms would you suggest to deploy first, Apple or Google, and why? It really depends. Like there are on Google has like these rules that your app has to be 2 weeks in testing, and you need like at least 20 people to test it out before deploying. That's the rules on Google, but on Apple, usually Apple is more strict with their reviewing process. So sometimes it might be easier to deploy it on Google compared to Apple because Apple will nitpick a lot. But if you want to test like maybe monetization and so on, I would actually think to deploy on iOS first because usually on iOS monetization works way better. So now after rebuilding, let's try the sign in with Apple again. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hide this for a second, and I'm going to try to sign in with Apple. And what do we see back? We see that it worked. So error is null and the user is authenticated with this email, with this it's confirmed, this is the sign in and so on. If I go now to my table editor to check the auth users, we should have already a user here, or a better way to manage them is through authentication tab. Maybe here, yeah, we have a user with this email. And in the table editor, if we look at the public schema, we already have a profile, and the profile is the table which we can work with. We can add additional properties like URLs, username, full name, avatar, and so on, website, and things like that. But it has the same ID, as you can see here, ends with DCE, as our authentication ID DCE here. So by using the same ID, we can connect them together and know that this authenticated user has this profile in our database. Whew, that's perfect. Let me go ahead and do a git add git commit -m sign in with Apple authentication. Git push origin main. Good. Now what we want to do is we're going to want to implement a way to automatically redirect the user from authenticated screens to the protected ones and the other way around. So here I'm going to follow the next getting started guide, but maybe not necessarily everything that we have here. After a user is signed in, we can allow them to edit their profile details and manage their account. Let's create a new component for that called account. Okay. And then in our application, what we are doing is we are doing this. Get session. Yeah, usually what I like to do is I like to create a context provider. Contexts. Let's create a folder context and let's do auth provider.tsx. Here in the auth provider, I'm going to create a context of context. and I'm going to export the auth provider. That is going to export information about whether the user is authenticated or not. The way I'm going to do that is using this use state and use effect. I'm gonna say, hey, in the use effect, Supabase get session. We're gonna sign in for the state changes. And here what I'm going to do is say I want to export. Let's import state and session. Let's add a type of context type session, and maybe is authenticated, and maybe even user of type user. Let's go ahead and do session null, is user null, is authenticated null. Then here in the value, we're gonna say, hey, session is easy. We're gonna just send the session from here. The user is session.user or null, and is authenticated. We're gonna check if there is a session or not. And at the same time, I want to do here a loading state. Loading, set loading. Initially is going to be true, and we set it to false after we get this session initially. Now, if it's loading, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do return null. This way, we're going to only render the children when we know exactly, when we are 100% sure whether the user is authenticated or not. This will avoid any unnecessary flickers when initially it thinks that it's authenticated and then, oh, no, actually it's not authenticated, and moves back. Now that we have this one here, I can go into the application layout in the root component, and I can wrap it around everything here with auth provider. Auth provider. Now what I will do is in the protected part, I'm going to take this is authenticated from our auth provider, but I'm going to make it easier to use this context by exporting a use of custom hook. I explained this. I'm not going to stop now because, as I was saying, like, this is not like educational tutorial. This is more like I'm sharing how I'm building this, but I'm teaching all of this context and all of this building custom hooks, teaching them very in detail in our course, right? Starting from exactly like the second project, I think. Yeah, in the quiz application, we already get into the data management, into context, into use state, and this whole React lifecycle. So if you want to learn this stuff, go ahead and check that course out. Now I'm going to export this use of hook, which simply wraps our of context. And in our layout, not in the layout, in the protected layout, I'm going to do use of. Here it's going to know if it's authenticated or not, and will redirect to this part. On the off side, I'm going to add the underscore layout part as well. But in this part, I'm going to copy paste the layout from protected to off. Let's call it off layout. It's not going to have any children, and even the other one is not going to have any children, so I don't know why we have it. Let's simplify it. But it's going to say, it's also going to take the authenticated, but it's going to be the other way around. If authenticated is true, then redirect to /protected. Protected, or maybe just slash. Otherwise, render the slot. Now, if I'm going to reload, we see bundling. Why you use XPath Lite on lib Supabase client configuration? So the Supabase configuration in the lib needs a storage, needs a place where to store like the token and so on. By default, they're recommending using the async storage. You can use that, no problems, like it's going to be perfectly fine. Go ahead and continue using async storage. In my case, I'm trying to give to use a new library called Expo SQLite, and specifically a part of this Expo SQLite, which is called KV Store. This KV Store was released very recently, a month ago probably, and it gives the same API as async storage has, but behind the scenes it works using Expo SQLite. So it has the same storage.getItem, it has the same set item and so on, all of this API, but yeah, it's not using files, it's using the Expo SQLite. So it's just a small difference that not gonna make a big change, but I'm just trying to use it more in my workflow, like the new libraries, and test them and see how they work. What's happening here? Let me where is the server running? Clear npm start, and let's run on iOS. And it's not necessarily for Supabase. It's just key value storage based on SQLite. Bundling. Up, off layout. What am I doing in that layout that is off layout? Is authenticated. Oh, I need to destructure it. Sorry, guys. And the same thing probably should happen in the other protected one. I need to destructure it. Yeah, sorry. Now if I will reload, it should properly do it, but it's bundling. Off layout. Console log is authenticated. True. Why it continues? Oh, because yeah, sorry. In the index, I go back to this redirect. Think I need to redirect to protected / tabs. Protected / tabs. And in protected, it's not authenticated. /off. It's true. It should return slot. Use off. Why use off? What's happening? Why I did something wrong here? Use effect. It gets into some weird redirection. Is it from? It shouldn't be from this index. What am I doing wrong here? Protected. I don't get it. Does it have something to do with my client setup for the video calls and so on? Stack. What's happening? Debugging is fun. Protected. Don't even need this. I just need a slot here. Protected layout slot does not want to work because it should be layout index tabs slash home tabs slash index. I guess we cannot have stack layout and tabs layout. No, we actually can do that. And even if it's a slot, it's doing the same. If I'm gonna have here a index.jsx, if I'm gonna do this, I'm going crazy. So this one gets into the tabs home screen. What's up here? Is authenticated through, so it's not even from this hook. What if we just have return slot? Slot from export router. Maybe export router, export router 3 shaking. Bundling seems like 3 shaking. Hope it's not from this metro. Wait here, global CSS. Oh, that's the debugging part, guys. I believe I need some water break, and I'll be back and we continue debugging. So, who can guess what's the problem? Expo stack bundling. Maybe there is something. So what do we have here? Let's figure this out. We have an index that is doing redirect something. If on index we simply return text hello, import from React Native, we should see text hello. This layout is a stack. Good. Now, doesn't have off provider, doesn't have anything. If I do on press, router push protected, go there. If I do hello, it goes here and it starts this bundling again. If the protected would not have this layout at all, and I press hello, I get there. Like in the tabs, index, there is no channel, but yeah, it's there. So I'm going to comment this out for a second. So if I press hello, I go to this home screen. So the problem is in this protected underscore layout. Do you see any problems even name of a layout? No. Layout. Oh, I see. You wouldn't believe that. Look at these guys. Oh my God. I get it back. When I navigate, it should start bundling if I reload. Who can guess what the error? Bundling. It's the async. It's the async keyword. Because without that, everything is working fine. And I wasted, what, like half an hour or 20 minutes because of this async. Oh boy, oh boy. Don't get me started. Okay, so back, I would uncomment this of provider. In the protected layout, I'm going to check if you are not authenticated. Go to off screen. Good. In the index, I'm going to redirect him to protected/tabs. In this layout, I'm gonna say header shown false. Good. Now on the off layout, everything is still good. Now in our tabs, I'm gonna add a tab for settings or profile or something like that. Profile.tsx. Here, what I want to do is, for now, just do export default profile, and I'm going to render a button title sign out. And signing out, I'm going to simply do Supabase dot off sign out. So if I will reload, I'm going to be redirected here. I can go to sign out to profile. Here, if I press sign out, I should be redirected back to the off. And now when we see bundling, we know what's the problem. I'm going to go to off layout and I'm going to delete this async. And now if I reload the application, I'm going to get on this screen automatically. And I can even improve like how this is happening by adding here animation fade. So instead of from the left, it's going to fade in. Now I can press sign in. I can do this account, sign in with password. I'm going to put my password here. Oh, come on. and it will automatically bring me back to the tabs after I sign in. And if I reload, it's going to be the tabs. So with this being said, now our full authentication flow is finished with automatically navigating back and forth with protecting our, now all the screens that we're gonna put here in the protected, they are going to be protected by this, by allowing only authenticated users to get here. I'm thinking about this part with add event listener. Shouldn't it be on the, not on the off screen, but maybe on the context? What do you think? I think so. So instead of here, maybe on the context of provider, somewhere here at the top, we should do this. Upstate from React Native. Yeah. And back in our auth index, we no longer need all of these buttons, the use state, and it's as simple as this. Okay, I think now with this we have a pretty good authentication system, and we can go ahead and do, let me find if I do console logs. In the, yeah, in that layout, like here, this one is the next step, like we're gonna figure out how to properly do it better. Console log call, yeah, maybe I don't need that one. Console log my video, console log session. I'm gonna console remove that one as well. So let's do git add, git commit auth flow. Perfect. So our authentication is done with auth with Apple sign in. Email and password I'm going to remove from here, and Google sign in as well. Maybe in future, if I have time, I'm going to add them, but for now, Apple sign in is going to be enough. The auth flow is done. The next part about stream is this authentication system for stream. We need a way to generate stream tokens that are going to be linked to the users that are signed in our backend, like in our Supabase, right? Hello dev code, I have joined late. Can someone recap me what we are building? So long story short, I'm starting today a new project. This is the second project in my journey of building 4 applications in 4 weeks. This time I decided to build a language learning application that would allow users to jump on a call with another person and practice speaking. As simple as that, but it's quite complicated to build it. So let's see if I manage to do it in 1 week, in just 5 days. I already have authentication system. I already have the chatting and the calling system. Now I have to improve everything, to set everything up, to connect everything together, and to already start thinking how I'm going to provide this user experience of getting on a call with a random person. I want the application to work similar to how chat roulette is working, where you can go and meet random people rather than having to call, similar to how WhatsApp works. I don't think like calling someone is the right approach here. I want to go and randomly meet new people, and maybe even add some time limitations where you can only have like a couple of minutes with that person and then you go to the next one. We'll see. Did you reveal what's project 3 and 4? I don't even know what's project 3 and 4. I'm doing everything here live, starting with ideation, and this was the only project that I wanted to build for a long time, this language learning application. So yeah. So let's see our next step. As I was saying, the next step would be also around like this piping, around configuring stuff, and more specifically connecting a stream user to our system. So how that is going to happen, I'm going to go into stream, maybe even in not video and audio, but maybe even in chat. We'll see which one will have more information about that. Let's go to docs. Let's go to React Native, maybe UI components, start here. But I'm interested in maybe not UI components, but overview. Yeah, let me go into the React Native, but not for the UI components documentation, but rather for the client documentation. And the client has this token and authentication. So Stream uses JWT to authenticate chat users, enable them to log in. Knowing whether a user is authorized to perform a certain action is managed separately via role-based permission. Token providers. A concept we will refer throughout the docs is a token provider. At a high level, the token provider is an endpoint on your server that can perform the following sequence of tasks. It will receive information about a user from the front end. It will validate that the user information against your system, will provide a user ID corresponding to that user, to that server client's token creation method, and return the token to the front end. Basically, the server should authenticate users and generate these tokens that Stream can understand, can decode. And this way, we're going to create this connection between our users. And it should happen on the backend, because if we do it on the front end, we cannot use secret keys. So we need secret keys to make this secure communication between our server and Stream chat to connect users. Here, user's token can only be safely generated from a server. This means you'll need to implement a token provider prior to deploying your application to production. To conduct development before implementing a token provider, you can disable this. But let's see. We can generate tokens on the server by creating a server client and then using the create token method. If generating a token to use client side, the token must include the user ID. So we can choose here what, for example, node, and this is how it's going to happen in Node.js. We create a server client by using both API key and API secret, and then we create a token based on the user ID. Setting automatic token expiration. By default, user tokens are valid indefinitely. You can set an expiration to tokens by passing it as the second parameter. The expiration should contain the number of seconds. Okay. JavaScript, yeah. Okay, so what do we have to do? We need to write a function on our server that is going to be able to create this Stream chat token. For that, because our backend is on Supabase, what we can do is we can use edge functions, which are a way to write code that would run on our backend. So edge functions are server-side TypeScript functions distributed globally at the edge, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they can be used for listening to webhooks or integrating your Supabase with third parties like Stream. So what we have to do is first we have to create a function. And because we already have Supabase locally, when I'm going to do npx and then Supabase function new hello world, it's going to create this hello world function here. And actually let me delete it and call it properly. So it's not going to be hello world, it's going to be stream token provider. Now we have a stream token provider with index file here. The code that we see here is Dino. Dino is, if we look at Dino documentation, is an open source JavaScript runtime, similar to how Node.js is a runtime for modern web. So very similar to Node.js, like from the usage level, like behind the scenes is a lot different. And it also allows us to, the way we install and use packages is a bit different, but everything else is kind of the same. Now, yeah, we can run them locally or we can deploy them. So what we can do is we can do Supabase npx Supabase, is it functions deploy, functions deploy. Is it gonna deploy remotely? Now if I'm gonna go here and do reload, we see a new function in our edge functions with this URL. I'm gonna copy this URL and go in my terminal and do curl. Maybe it's not gonna work because missing authorization header. Well, we can send a request there and it's going to give us back hello world or hello something. We can also run them locally, so let's try to do that now. npx Supabase start. For that you need to set up locally. We have Catalin, yes. Guys, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The software I used for App Store Insights was called Astro, and I think the website is Get Astro or Try Astro. And this is it. It's a Mac application. And actually I should already add my previous project while my database is starting. How was the name of a project? Let me call add, and it was easy invoice generator invo 365, and it's this one. So let's add it. I'm gonna move it to the top. And can I move all the migrate keywords to oh, okay. So previously I was just using it with a temporary application, but now I actually linked it with my application in the store, and it will tell me later the position that it ranks on that keywords. Nice. Failed to start up Docker. Connectivity, the port is already allocated. Let's do Supabase stop the previous project. Oh, I don't have a lot of time left. Oh no. At 7 I have a group coaching session with our academy students from React Native Mastery. Can a chat translator be added to the app? This feature will allow users to communicate in their native language as well as their language they are learning. I think that would be really cool to see. npx Supabase stop, and now let's do npx Supabase start. I have 10 more minutes. But we're just getting started, and I'm going to go live every single day during this week to work on the application. So if you're interested, definitely subscribe to the channel and join me tomorrow, because today was a lot of setup, of configuration, of piping, as I say. But from tomorrow, like, we actually start building like features, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it doesn't, oh, 75, let's go, invoice PDF generator, we are position 75. That's so nice. But we start somewhere, guys. And hopefully soon, if you're gonna help me with some downloads and reviews, you can find the application. Where is it? Update app info. Can I get the link? You can find it as Easy Invoice Generator Invoice Invo 365. Okay, so locally it is running. So if I'm going to send this request, I hope it's going to execute that function. Hello functions, exactly. So I can also do npx Supabase functions serve. And in this case, it's going to show me and update things here. For example, I can do here a console log data. And if I send another request like that and go back here, I see the info, like the console log. Perfect. So what I have to do here is I have to initialize get stream and initialize it there. But getting stream, how do we do that? Stream, get instance, import. It doesn't show me the import. PHP, okay, node. Stream chat, npm stream chat. npm. I'll go products. Chat. SDKs. Go away. SDKs. Go maybe in the docs. Server backend clients. Let's go here, node. So this is the library stream chat. But how do we import that in Dino? Because we cannot just simply import like that. Think we could do import npm double dot stream chat. I don't know. Import stream chat from this. Let's see if I send a request again. Serving request. Okay, there is something is there. Then what I have to do is I need to do the get instance, where I put there the the server client, which I'm going to do with Dino environment variables. Dino.env dot I'm gonna look here into the managing environment variables here like this, Dino get API secret. So this is going to be stream, how's it called? Stream API key. API key, and this is stream API secret. And just to confirm that we get access to them, I'm going to do console log API key, because API key can be shared. Now we can look in the docs on how to handle that. We can load through .env file placed at Supabase functions env, which is automatically loaded on Supabase start. Cool. So in the Supabase functions, and here if I do a .env, you are saying that it will automatically load when we do npm start. Cool. We can do here stream API key equal and also stream API secret. In the .env file, .gitignore, I think we should do here. Let me check if it's added git status. No, it's automatically ignored here. Hopefully. So give me a second. I'm going to put my tokens, the secret and thing from stream chat there. So the public key and the secret. I'm gonna close them and let's see. Let's try to what? Do npm function serve again. We should restart, because now if I'm going to do this, actually it works. So we see that the public key is there, which means that most probably we created the server client correctly. Now, all we have to do is call server client create token, and based on a token like this. Let's try to do that. Token server client create token John. And let's go console log token, or let's actually send it back as token. I don't need data. I don't think I need name. I just need the token. If I'm gonna go now and send the request, we're gonna see that back we receive a token. So that means that we generated the token on the server, still for a hard-coded ID, but it's generated on the server. Cool. Now all we have to do is get the ID of a user that is calling this function, and we do that by managing dependencies, integrated with Supabase auth. When a user makes a request to an edge functions, you can use authentication header to set auth context in Supabase client, fetching the user. After initializing Supabase client with auth context, you can use get user to fetch the user object and run queries in the context. So what we can do is we can do auth header here and create a Supabase client inside to know to get the user ID. Create client will be imported from here, from Supabase. JS. So we are automatically getting the URL and the unknown key, and then the authorization header that the user is passing. And then get the user session, user.data. Get the session of header. We're getting the authorization token, okay, data token, user equal data.user. So I can do console log user. And if I send this request again, here, if I send it again, worker failed. Why? Invalid worker. Yeah, I think I'm a little late. So as you saw, we were able to generate the token. The last step is to actually generate the token based on the dynamic user ID. And that is going to be everything we need. Later, we just call this function from our client-side component. And before we connect, for example, in our layout, before we connect our user to stream chat, we first call this function without giving any data. We just call it with the authenticated user data, and that is going to automatically generate it based on the user ID. So this way, like nobody is sending any data, the server understands who is calling it, creating a ID for that user, sending it to stream chat, and then stream chat can understand that, okay, this user is connected to that one, and we'll keep everything linked together. Later, we're going to be able to, from our backend, do a lot of stuff. But that is the first step. So that is everything. I really need to run because my students at React Native Mastery are waiting for me. So if you're interested in joining our course and learning and mastering React Native with Expo, make sure to check out notjust.dev/React Native Mastery. And we have these group coaching calls with our students every Monday. That was the first episode out of 5 for this project that we just started, building a language learning application with video and audio calls and maybe even chatting. And today we saw how we can get started with stream chat, how easy it is to build a chatting experience with pre-built architecture and pre-built components, and also video calling. Without them, like, it would be impossible to do that in such a short amount of time. And thank you very much, StreamChat, for sponsoring this project. It wouldn't be possible without the SDKs that you are building. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone else who is joining us today. I will see you tomorrow for the second part and connecting everything together and starting building our features. All right, thank you very much, guys. Have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.